Hey YouTube, this is my first self-made video, so please forgive me for lighting or sound or any of that. Just wanted to give a quick testimony that I had. It's really what kind of got me looking and digging deeper and all the things that are going on in the world. In 2008, I had a dream that I had woke up in what I thought was my house. I didn't have a body per se, and it freaked me out because when I woke up, I looked down. Of course, I didn't have any feet. It was kind of as if I was in a bubble, per se. I turned around and looked behind me, and below me was like it kind of tiered down. And of course, inside my house doesn't tear down a level, but it was kind of like a tear down a level. That there was so many people, and it was friends and family and people that I didn't know, but it was just a lot of people, and they were all really scared, and it freaked me out. As a matter of fact, it scared me so much that I turned around to take a breath because I was like, what is going on? The first inkling that went through my head was, oh man, I'm dead. I really thought maybe I had died. And about that time, I heard a voice. It sounded like it was right behind me, saying, and it said, "Don't be afraid." Well, to be honest with you, this freaked me out even more. This made me scared to death. At that point, I'm kind of freaking out, like, what is going on here? So I turn around again to look at all the people that were there, and it looked like they were on their hands and knees praying. A lot of them were crying, and it looked that they were just scared to death. And that's when I had an inkling to go to the window. I don't know why. It just come over me to go look out the window. And so I did. I walked up to the front window and looked out. And as I looked out, in the far, far off distance, up in the sky, as far across, it stretched all the way across. It was darkness, like a dark cloud, like a fire cloud. It just looked crazy. So I walked back to the center of the living room, and I'm just trying to take all this in because it really was realer than anything I've ever experienced before. Any dream, it was realer than being here right now. So I'm scared to death at this point, really. All of a sudden, again, right behind me, "Don't be afraid. It's time to take a stand," is what I heard. So I'm freaking out. The voice just scared me to death, to be honest with you. However, me being one of those kind of people, okay, I gotta at least see what's going on. So I opened the front door and walked out onto the porch. Now, on the front porch is 4 steps up to the top of the porch. Out in front, in my front yard, is a big hill. So I couldn't see really anything that was up close. I could just see above this hill, and so basically just seeing the horizon. But the horizon, it was a dark cloud with flames in it that stretched all the way across the sky. I just call it fire clouds. I relate it to maybe what you would see when a volcano erupts, those dark, black, bellowing clouds with fire inside of them and whatnot. Well, the closer that it got towards the house, I could actually see stones and fire dropping out of the sky, hitting the ground on the other side of the hill, and I could tell it was getting a lot closer. So I'm freaking out. I'm pretty scared at this time. And at about that time, the voice again, "Don't be afraid. It's time to take a stand." Now, I knew I'd heard it a few times. It's freaking me out. However, I just can't make sense of it at this moment. I know something bad's coming. At this point, I'm thinking, okay, is this Armageddon? Is this the end? Or, I'm dead and I'm watching Armageddon. I don't know. But as that fire cloud got closer, it was a few miles past the little hill in front of my home, but it was coming closer. It was headed that way, and it stretched the entire span of the sky. At this point, I started thinking a little bit more, in my head, and it was kind of funny because as I was thinking anything, it was just kind of like things started coming together really quick, like I knew the answer to the question immediately, which kind of scared me even more, to be honest with you. I don't know what else to say, but other than it did. It kind of just scared me even more. Well, about this time, I see on top of the hill coming up, I'm seeing basically fire and brimstone, if you will, hitting on the other side of the hill and all, and it's coming this way. I see a silhouette atop the hill, and at this point, I'm thinking World War III, okay, it's the Battle of Armageddon, it's something of that nature, it's not good, and it's coming, and it's almost here, in my front yard, almost here. And as that silhouette topped the hill, that's basically all I could see was a silhouette. And I couldn't really make out what it was, what it looked like, but it did have, 2 arms, 2 legs, a human type feature, that far away. I just couldn't really tell. Well, as that silhouette topped the hill and started coming towards my front yard and down the hill towards my house, I could start to make out kind of what it was. And that's when things took another turn for the scary. When it got about halfway down the hill, I made out horns like a bull. This thing was huge, okay? Huge. And that's all it took. Once I made out horns and this thing being huge, and when I mean huge, I do mean huge, my first inkling was to make like Forrest Gump and turn tail and run. Well, I turned around. Now, mind you, it felt like I was walking, but I didn't have any feet. It was like I was a bubble, or I don't know how to explain it other than that. But I went to turn to run, okay, because I'm that scared at this point. When I see that thing halfway down the hill, and I still can't make it all out, but I see horns, I see a big whatever coming down the hill, I turned to run. As I, in my head, kind of took that first step, not having feet, but still I took that first step to run, basically, the voice again said, "It's time to take a stand. Don't be afraid." And as that happened, I had prayed back when I was younger, 14, 15, I still lived with my parents back then, and at that time I had prayed that night. I remember I wanted to know God, I wanted to know Jesus, I wanted to know, but I just had a hard time believing at that point in my life, and I had prayed that night, seriously, wholeheartedly, I want to know you if you're real, I'm trying to find you, and I remember, and that's what popped in my head. Well, the funny thing about that was, I had opened up the Bible that night when I was younger, to this memory that had popped in my head, and that's exactly what it said. The scripture, and I don't remember which per se scripture it was, but I do remember that it said something about taking a stand and don't be quick to speak for me. In other words, man your ground, take a stand for me, and I'll do the talking, basically. When this happened and that thought coming across my head, it was all of a sudden I knew, or I thought I did, like, oh man, is this a test? Is this a test of the Lord? Is this where I'm either on the fence and I'm trying to go either way, or I didn't know, but I did know one thing as I took that step to run. If I knew to myself, if this is real, and this is a test or whatever this might be, I'm not going out like that, and I'm not going out on the other side, so to speak. I'll take a stand for the Lord any day. Any day. Because given that being real, I thought to myself, hey, he's giving me what I need, but I need to make a stand if that's what he's wanting, and that's what he's telling me apparently. So I turned back around and I walked to the front of my porch where the steps came up. Now, mind you, I was on the 4th step. I remember that just plain as day. I was 4 steps up. As that silhouetted creature is coming, now he's reached my driveway and he's coming right up to the porch where I'm at. And I'm watching it. And I am scareder than I ever have been in my entire life. I've done the military. I'm a farm boy. Not much really scares me, you know. But I was scared, knee-knocking scared. And once I had that little vision of praying to the Lord when I was younger, for some reason it gave me that strength I needed, I guess, to be bold and to take a stand, so to speak, and to not back down. I also had kind of thought that I got the feeling that I was the only thing in front of this thing getting to all the people that were in my house scared to death, down praying and all this. I just had that feeling that, you know, if that thing is coming for all of us or whatever, it will have to go through me. Scared or not, man up, D. That's what I said. Hey, buddy, it's time to UK man up. Okay. Well, as I stood on the top step, this thing comes right up to the bottom. He come right up to the 1st step. Now, he didn't take a step up or anything. He didn't have to, because I'm looking eyeball to eyeball with this thing straight as, I mean, you know, he's like 13'6". Don't ask me how I know that. I asked that question in my head, and that's what popped up. 13 foot tall, 0.6 inches, whatever it was. As he got that close and got to the bottom of the steps, he had muscles on muscles, is all I could say. And when I mean muscles on muscles, I mean Hulk times 10. Just muscles on muscles. Sorry for the shakiness of the camera. I'm holding it, trying to keep it steady. His skin was like smoke, and it moved.